They lay together in the quiet glow of the evening, the soft light from the bedside lamp casting a warm, golden hue over the room. California felt Sue's head resting on her shoulder, her gentle breaths tickling California's collarbone, and she felt an incredible sense of peace settle over her, grounding her in the here and now. Their fingers intertwined, bodies close, a stillness settling around them that felt both new and familiar, like they were carving out a space of their own in the world, a place where nothing else mattered. California pressed a soft kiss to Sue's hair, inhaling the faint scent of lavender, and closed her eyes, feeling the quiet thrill of this life they were building. Just months ago, she couldn't have imagined this. A home, a child to care for, and a love that filled the cracks she hadn't even known were there. And now, as they lay together, California felt whole in a way she never had before. Sue nestled closer, her voice a soft whisper against California's shoulder. Cal, can you imagine it? A big family in that big old house of ours. I mean, I never thought, she trailed off, a soft, disbelieving smile crossing her lips. I never thought I'd have this. I never thought I'd have you. California turned to look at her, her own heart swelling. I never thought I'd have this either. And now, I can't imagine wanting anything else. I want this. I want us. And I want Macaulay to be ours. Sue sighed contentedly, her hand tracing small, absent-minded patterns on California's arm. I know we haven't started officially yet, but he already feels like ours. And maybe one day, we'll add more to our family. We've got room to fill. A big, noisy family. Can you see it? California chuckled softly, feeling a spark of warmth at the thought. I can see it, yeah. More kids running around. You and me looking after them, making sure they know they're loved, that they have a place in the world. Sue's voice grew quieter, a soft vulnerability creeping in. Sometimes I'm afraid that this is just a dream, that I'll wake up and it'll all be gone. And you'll have just been a figment of my imagination. California felt a pang at Sue's words, understanding the fear all too well. There was a part of her that felt the same, a part that whispered that this was too good to be true, that it couldn't last. She'd spent so much of her life waiting for the other shoe to drop, for happiness to slip through her fingers like sand. But as she looked at Sue, at the woman she loved so fiercely, she felt something stronger than her old fears. It's real, Sue, she said softly, taking her hand, squeezing it gently. I'm real. This, us Macaulay, our home, it's all real. And I'm not going anywhere. We've been through too much to get here. I know it's hard to believe in it, to believe it'll last. But it will. We're building something strong. Sue looked up at her, her eyes bright with gratitude and love. You're right. We're making it real every single day. And no matter what happens, I'll hold on to that. California kissed her softly, letting the warmth between them say what words couldn't. She felt the hope in her chest, fragile yet undeniable, and allowed herself to believe that this dream could be real, that they could build a life together, filled with love, with children, with everything they had both thought was out of reach. They lay there, wrapped in each other, their hearts full of quiet joy, feeling as if the future was opening up before them, a future they'd build together, piece by piece. And in that moment, the fears and doubts faded, leaving only love and the unshakable belief that they were exactly where they were meant to be. As dawn crept in, California and Sue exchanged a sleepy, excited smile before slipping out of bed. California pulled on her robe, feeling a familiar swell of warmth as she remembered the day ahead, Macaulay's first day of school. She tiptoed down the hall, stopping in front of Macaulay's room, listening to his soft, steady breaths before gently knocking and peeking in. Macaulay, she whispered, stepping inside. Time to wake up, kiddo. He stirred, blinking against the morning light streaming through the window. For a moment, he looked disoriented, but then his face softened and he sat up, rubbing his eyes. School today, huh? He muttered, trying to sound casual, though California could see the nervous excitement in his expression. Yep, big day, California said, ruffling his hair affectionately. Come on, let's get you ready. Sue's already starting breakfast. She helped him pick out clothes, a new shirt and jeans they bought for him, and packed his backpack with notebooks, pencils, and a few extras she thought he might need. Macaulay looked at the backpack, a small smile crossing his face as he traced the straps, almost as if he couldn't believe it was his. As they entered the kitchen, Sue was bustling around the stove, a delicious smell filling the air. She turned, beaming at them. "Good morning, you two. Macaulay, I've got pancakes coming up with all the toppings." Macaulay's eyes lit up, and California watched with a smile as he pulled up a chair at the table, trying to mask his excitement, but failing as Sue piled pancakes onto his plate, along with syrup, berries, and whipped cream. "Thanks," he mumbled, looking down but clearly thrilled. They ate together, sharing laughter and light conversation. Macaulay was quiet but attentive, watching as Sue and California exchanged glances filled with shared joy. California noticed how he glanced around the room, as if memorizing the details of this new life he'd fallen into, the warmth of the morning sunlight filling the kitchen, the smell of fresh coffee and pancakes. When breakfast was over, they bundled up, grabbed his backpack, and made their way to the car. The drive to the school was filled with quiet anticipation, Macaulay looking out the window, his fingers fidgeting nervously as they neared the building. At the entrance, they were met by the school counselor, a towering man who radiated an air of kindness and strength. California had heard of him. Coach Henderson, a former NFL player with a wide grin and an even wider reputation for being a caring mentor to all his students. He extended a large, warm hand to each of them, his grip firm but comforting. "You must be Macaulay," he said, crouching down slightly to look the boy in the eyes. "I'm Coach Henderson. You're in good hands here, buddy. I'll be your counselor, but I'm also here to help you settle in however I can." Macaulay nodded, a bit wide-eyed as he took in the coach's towering presence, but California noticed a small, relieved smile creeping onto his face. Coach Henderson stood, turning to California and Sue. "Folks, I have to say, what you're doing here is something special," he said, his voice warm and cheerful. "Not every kid gets a second chance, and I'll do my part to make sure he's welcomed here and supported. He's in good hands." Sue's face softened with relief, and California felt her own tension ease. There was something reassuring in Coach Henderson's presence, a kind of unshakable confidence that made her feel that Macaulay would be well looked after. "Thank you, Coach," Sue said, gratitude evident in her voice. "We want him to feel safe, like he belongs." Coach Henderson nodded, his gaze full of understanding. "He will. And if he needs anything, he knows where to find me. I've got an open door policy, especially for kids who are new." He turned back to Macaulay, his tone softening. "School can be a lot to take in, but you don't have to worry, all right? I'll be here whenever you need me. We've got some great kids, and I'll make sure you're not alone." Macaulay nodded, and California could see a glimmer of something like hope in his expression. The boy who'd been so guarded, so wary, was slowly beginning to let his guard down, bit by bit. As they finished the registration process, Coach Henderson gave Macaulay one last reassuring pat on the shoulder, then turned to California and Sue with a bright smile. "He's in good hands. You two take care, and don't worry about a thing. We've got him covered here." As they left the school, California felt a quiet excitement building in her chest. She and Sue exchanged a smile, their hands brushing together as they walked toward the car. She felt lighter, like they'd taken another big step forward, another piece of Macaulay's life falling into place. They climbed into the car, both of them sharing a hopeful glance, their hearts filled with the promise of this new path for Macaulay. He was finally where he was supposed to be, surrounded by people who cared for him, in a place where he could be safe, learn, and grow. California looked out the window as they pulled away from the school, feeling that same cautious optimism bubble up inside her. It was a feeling she wasn't used to, but for the first time, she let herself believe in it fully. This was only the beginning, but it was a good one. And as she looked over at Sue, her heart swelling with love and gratitude, she knew they were ready to face whatever came next, together.